Hey everybody, it's Dak here from the Ed Boys, and welcome to my guide on how not to make money with woodcutting. Similar to my other money making skilling guides, I'm still going to go over the top profit that you can make from woodcutting in this guide, but woodcutting's been slowly getting worse and worse in terms of GP per hour. In the long run, it's much more worth it to do faster methods that don't really make money and just make up for the money later, but you can overall make a profit while you woodcut. I'll first go over some axes and then a couple of methods that'll make you money, but afterwards I'll discuss why I think woodcutting is dying and then my crappy ideas to save the trees OSRS edition. Admittedly, this is about 50% a guide and 50% a discussion video. For me, that's kind of nice though, because I haven't put out a discussion video in quite a while, and I do enjoy just talking topics with all of you. Let's go ahead and start with axes. The dragon axe requires 61 woodcutting to use and 60 attack to wield. You don't have to wield the weapon to use it as an axe. This is the case with all axes, but it does save you an inventory space if you wield it. And the dragon axe has a special attack which temporarily raises your woodcutting level by 3, helping the speed of chopping logs just a little bit. The dragon axe is insanely cheap and it's about 10% faster overall than a rune axe. So if you reach 61 woodcutting and you don't use it, you're either an Iron Man or you're just confused. We've also got the crystal axe, which is an upgrade from the dragon axe, but does require crystal shards, which are untradeable. You can get these crystal shards through various activities in Privdinas. The crystal axe requires 70 woodcutting to use, 70 attack, and 50 agility to wield. It does have the same special attack as the dragon axe. The axe is nearly 5% faster than a dragon axe, making it better to use, but since it requires those charges, it's not an insanely popular option. It is faster, 5%, but 5% of just a little bit of money, it doesn't really add that much, you know? Currently, the top way of making cash with woodcutting is magic logs at the Woodcutting Guild. The Woodcutting Guild requires 60 woodcutting and 75% Hosidius favor to get in. It's also located in the Hosidius house on the southwest side. The Woodcutting Guild was a great attempt at saving woodcutting overall. There's a ton of trees, a very close bank, and a well-placed deposit box on the opposite side, so if you're not close enough to the bank, you've got a deposit box for you, and no matter what tree you're chopping, you have an invisible 7-level boost while you're inside the guild, which does make it much faster for woodcutting overall. Chopping yew trees and even magic trees in the Woodcutting Guild is still pretty AFK since it's overall slow moving, but it is an increase in logs per hour compared to the previous methods. When it comes to making money with woodcutting, more logs per hour is a good thing. Yew logs aren't a horrible moneymaker, they are a little bit worse than magics, and I don't really suggest doing either of these with less than mid to high 80s in your woodcutting. So in general, we're going to focus on the magic trees. Anywhere from 80 to even 140 logs an hour is doable with magic logs. Since they take so long to chop, your hours are going to differ a lot though, so after a few hours, you'll finally get a decent rate. At the moment, even if you were consistently getting 140 logs per hour, they're only around 1k a piece, so that's around 140k. And this truly is a max pace that you're going to get in there. This is with 99 woodcutting and your best axe options. Even then, not every hour is likely to be 140 logs, especially if you're AFKing a bit. Overall, what I'm getting out of this is, even at the tippy top of your best option for woodcutting, you're not going to make a ton of money, which is kind of sad. So what is the problem here? Every method in woodcutting does make a profit as long as you're depositing the logs, but none of them profit that much. Clearly, it's about the price of logs. They absolutely blow. Just for an example, maple logs currently alch for nearly 7 times more money than they're sold for. Very often the alch price of an item is basically the minimum price that it's going to reach. There are definitely many items out there, including these logs, that drop under the alch price, but it's usually only by a small percent. Maple logs have the biggest gap here since they're a whopping 7 coins a piece, but the price of each log is dying, and it's not looking like it's getting any better, unfortunately. There's 2 main factors to pricing, and it's not just a RuneScape thing. I imagine most of you have heard of supply and demand. Generally, if the demand for something is higher than the supply for it, the price is going to go up. But if the supply is higher, if you have more of the item than people want, the price is going to go down because you have so much of it, you just need to sell it off. So in this case, because there's so many logs and no one's trying to buy them, we get cheap ass logs. Let's start with the demand on them. Why do people buy logs? Fire making, fletching, and construction mostly. Fire making is a pretty weak example thanks to Winter Todd. Who the hell needs high tier logs when you can just chop Burma roots for really quick XP? 99% of players who need fire making XP are not going to buy logs. They're just going to go to Winter Todd. Ironically, Winter Todd also rewards you with noted logs. So not only do you get 99 fire making without needing to buy any, you'll gain logs in the process. Winter Todd has basically completely taken fire making off the map in terms of needing logs. What about construction? Technically, it's planks that people want, not logs. Even though logs are made into planks, there's only 4 different logs that can be used for construction. You have regulars, oak logs, teak logs, and mahogany logs. Mahogany logs are actually one of the top 2 or 3 woodcutting moneymakers, making a little under 100K an hour, so I guess there is some demand for those in general. The issue here is that people buy planks, not logs, so actually making planks and selling them is generally good profit, but it's the act of making the plank that makes you a good profit, not chopping the log, which means buying logs would make more money than chopping them yourself. That gives a little demand. I'm not saying no one ever buys logs. There's a group of people buying them, but clearly not that many. And what about fletching? There are a lot of people who use logs for fletching. This is very true. Unstrung bows are a popular method for fletching, and if they were to somehow take out being able to fletch logs, the price of logs would drop even more because there would be less people buying them, no doubt. Go ahead and pat yourself on the back fletching. You're making a difference. The thing is, a lot of people do darts too. Not a ton, I guess. I feel like more people are doing logs than darts. I don't know, though. I don't get to see everybody's fletching method. So it's not like everybody who's doing fletching is buying logs. Overall, the demand for logs is remotely low, but the pace at which you chop logs is also very low. I said nearly a max of 140 magic logs in an hour, but when you fletch or burn those logs, you can do well over 1,000 an hour. Definitely sounds like it takes longer to add logs into the game than it does to remove them. If that were the case, that'd be a solid thumbs up. But the supply issue doesn't really stem from people chopping logs, though. Don't get me wrong. If you just world hop and you check out the Woodcutting Guild in every world, it's pretty consistently packed. But there's also people bank standing and fletching logs like crazy, too. So I feel like those things are, in general, they're pretty even. They're doing pretty well. It's pretty balanced. The real issue is how many logs that you can collect from PVM. I mentioned slightly that this was a problem with fishing, too, but it's clearly what's killing the log prices. Zulrah, the King Black Dragon, Giant Mole, Dagonoth Supreme, and just about every Revenant dropped noted U logs, and a pretty good chunk of them. As an Iron Man, you're better off fighting these things in general to collect logs than you are as chopping trees, which is kind of interesting. For magic logs, we have noted drops from Callisto, Vedian, Venenatus, the Abyssal Sire, General Grerador, Vorkath, the Calphite Queen, the Corporal Beast, Thermonuclear Smoke Devils, and again, just about every Revenant. That's insane. There's way too many magic logs being added to the game. Don't forget about Winter Todd is also handing out logs consistently. There's at least 300 to 400 people always doing Winter Todd. That's got to be at least a dozen different ways that you could collect higher tier logs that have nothing to do with woodcutting. At this point, I'm not sure if removing logs from drop tables is going to make enough of a difference. The trees may already be screwed. But I can't say it's a great trend that new bosses continue to give supplies that could be collected elsewhere, or at least a lot of them. I do make the vast majority of my money through PVM, so yes, I am benefiting from this too, but I am a bigger fan of bosses that have pretty crappy overall drops or like just barely breaking even drops, except for those uniques, which are very expensive. That is a whole nother topic that I could get into. In fact, I do plan on making a separate discussion video about that. It's possible that adding an item to the game that increases the amount of logs you could chop would help out with making money from woodcutting at first. You get more logs per hour, and like I said earlier, more logs per hour means more money. But in the long run, all that would do is just add more and more logs to the game and keep decreasing the price. They can only get so low, but that's not good for it. We don't want to keep decreasing the price. They either need to start removing ways to get tons of logs through PVM or add more content that would require the use of logs. They kind of did it with something like birdhouses, I guess, but one player can only use around 4 logs an hour. It's a little under an hour, but basically 4 logs an hour at birdhouses, so that's not making a very big difference at all. I can't say I have a great idea for something that would sink logs. A log sink is kind of an interesting idea, but I do think overall, if log prices don't want to be absolutely horrible, we either would need to remove them from the drop table, or we need some other reason people want to buy logs. I don't necessarily have all the exact answers. This is just an idea and a discussion, I guess, and overall, this is clearly not a super urgent point. You can still profit from woodcutting if you want, or you could get the faster cape and make up for the money doing something else and basically get over it. It's not huge, but it is kind of sad that in the long run, woodcutting is basically dying. I believe that's all the info I wanted to talk about when it comes to making money with woodcutting, everybody. It was only a little bit of information of how you can make money, I guess, and then a little bit of a rant, or a lot of bit of a rant about why the woodcutting moneymakers are so bad at this point. If you have any questions or comments of your own about woodcutting and why it's dying and why we need to save the trees, be sure to leave those in the comments section below, and I can get back to you as soon as possible. I also stream on Twitch, and I have a Twitter, and you can follow me on both of those. I do have a Discord you could join too, and the links for all of those things should be in the description. Thank you for watching this video, everybody. I do hope you enjoyed or you got some useful information. If you did, be sure to like and subscribe for more content. And best of luck with your grind.